Welcome to the Ed Answer Key, the podcast where in the time it takes to complete hall duty and attendance, we embark on an educational adventure for both teachers and families. So whether you're a seasoned educator or a family navigating the school system, buckle up for the Ed Answer Key.
So when I say 504, you say IEP, and you say
ASVAB.
What are those things for any listener who is just a concerned parent?
So the Individualized Education Plan is what the IEP stands for. And you can't qualify unless you're evaluated. And typically the evaluation comes from a concerned parent who's like, or a teacher, suggestion. Then 504 is kind of a very similar support in some cases. It's just a different...
Easier to get a 504
Right.
than an IEP. A lot of people just go with that.
A lot less data.
Just so they can get the accommodation. So
Right.
there's accommodations and then there's intervention. So if you want the things that are going on in your classroom to be put in place permanently, then you get something to get accommodations, which is a lot of people just go through the 504 process because you just need a little doctor
quick.
to say, hey, he can't sit still, write him up 504.
Usually on the education, they just come in, we're like, okay, we write it up. It's basic. IEPs are a little bit more formalized, but
Because but the teachers are on the hook, right?
yeah, I mean, that's...
Like they are
yeah.
on the hook.
Yes.
Me as a parent, I feel, and I'm gonna let it out there, me as a black male, I feel that 504s and IEPs are the best tool that students that look like me and my kids have to hold a teacher and a school accountable. Because you have to, as a teacher, you have to do what's on that document, that individualized educational plan. You have to do what's on that IEP. You have to do what's in that 504. And if you don't do it, if I know what they're supposed to be having, small group or read aloud
Right.
accommodations, and they don't get that,
Yeah.
somebody's going to have to answer to what's going on. They're going to have to.
And legally, that's what these documents are. They're legal binding. So
They
it gives
are.
parents, I mean, and I'm a very involved, like, special ed teacher. Like, that's just my thing. But I do that on purpose because I'm always giving the parents who are tedious. Like, that's just part of my fun. So I'm a texter. I'm a caller. I'm like, okay, listen, just settle down. Let me handle this for a second before, because, and I'm that person. So I have said those words to parents, settle down and I'll get to it, But it's like they have to trust. They don't always care what the paper says as long as they trust the human who's supposed to be doing that kind of support or communicating the support. So obviously I can't do all the support because I'm not in every classroom, but I do make sure that everybody in each of the classrooms understands what it looks like. But I'm only technically hired to support in one classroom, or two classrooms rather, but same content. But that's not how it works. Like special ed teachers have to try to figure out what it's like in every classroom. And that's part of the push because teachers it's just not as easy sometimes, like to figure it out and see what that looks like. So
The sad part is you're saying the opposite, Theo, of what everyone else is pushing for. They're saying there's an overdiagnosis of black males with IEPs and 504.
I agree.
But you're saying the only way that people are held accountable is if an IEP or 504 in place. Otherwise, they slip through the system. So you got
They do.
these individuals, these white women who are
Right.
saying, oh, they're overdiagnosing black boys and just not understanding. But in reality, they're not fixing the processes in the classes that would increase the learning loss of black males.
Right.
If you address that instead of addressing taking away diagnosis, then you're working on the opposite end of the problem. Go fix what's wrong in the classroom and you wouldn't have all these overdiagnosis of black males with IEPs and 504s.
There's a lot of bias.
A bias,
Yes,
that's
I
exactly what I was
think you
just
see
going
it.
to
You
say.
say
Totally.
this is we're labeling these
Totally.
kids, and that means
Right.
this, which is bad.
Yeah.
Instead of we're labeling a kid, and that means they're going to be able to get some more help.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yes.
we're leveling the playing
And
field.
it's
Yes,
sad. I gotta put a ODD label, which is oppositional defiant
Right.
disorder, on my black boy son when a white boy could do the exact same
Totally.
behaviors, and they're just saying he's acting out. But I have to give him that label to give him grace inside of the school. The only way he's going to get grace from principals and teachers is if I put a ODD label. Oh yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Without that
ODD.
504, they're just going to say that's
He's
a
bad.
kid.
Go put him over here. But that label, unfortunately, protects them, and that's sad. We have to attach. So I understand from both standpoints why Black people do not want to identify with those labels, but the labels, like you said, are the only thing protecting our children in that building when we're not there.
Mobility is also an issue, the transition rate with poverty and things of that nature. Student comes into a really healthy school and everything, gets identified and all that stuff, or maybe doesn't get identified but is still getting
Noticed.
the accommodations or the services. So small group, okay, well, little Timmy over there, he's not identified, doesn't have a document, a 504, an IEP. However,
We call them honorary members.
honorary members. But little Timmy goes to a different school. Little Timmy has no protections whatsoever. It is incumbent upon teachers when they identify a student, they need the curriculum to stay with high fidelity. They have to have that curriculum so that they can see from the formative or summative assessments where this kid is actually ending up. And where they are, we're going to identify those kids. And we're going to get them to the psychologist, and we're going to get them through the process, which legally we're supposed to do. Because if
Well,
we don't,
True.
what's going to happen when they move?
No, I agree, and I think you have to protect them.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the Ed Answer Key. Your support means the world to us. Be sure to stay in the loop about upcoming topics by downloading our free podcast companion at www.edanswerkey.com. So until next time, class dismissed.